Looks like we're up.
All right, good morning, everyone. Today is Tuesday, May the 10th, 2022. It's 10 a.m. We're here for the Hunt County Commissioners Court regular session. At this time, I'm going to ask Commissioner Martin to lead us in prayer, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance to our flags. If everybody will stand, please.
Shall we bow? Our most gracious Heavenly Father, thank you for allowing us to come here and take care of the community business. We thank you for the gift of life. As we travel through life, may we do it in a righteous way as we take care of this business. If you will, give us patience, understanding, knowledge, that we may make the righteous decisions. In Christ's name we ask all these things. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag.
I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you, everyone. At this time, I'll call the meeting to order, and we have Commissioner Hutchins, Strait, Martin, and Harrison present. I'm Judge Stovall. I'll be presiding over the meeting today. Commissioners, you have the minutes from April 26, 2022 regular session. Entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. At this time, we'll have public testimony. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes and should conduct themselves in a civil manner. The Commissioners Court cannot take action on items not listed on the agenda in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act. Concerns will be addressed by county staff. They may be placed on a future agenda or addressed by some other course of response. Also, for those that may be watching us online, you can go to huntcounty.net and to the banner for comments, and you can type in a comment you would wish to have read to the court, or you can put a phone number in and we'll call you back at an appropriate time. Is there anyone here that wishes to speak to the court? Nobody online, Daniel? All right, being none, we'll move on to old business, action item 1 under A, the preliminary plat of Fanning Creek Meadows in Precinct 3. Brian, you want to update us?
We've got pretty much everything worked out on this one. There's one question regarding the access to the property, where the county maintenance ends and how they're going to comfortably get into this property without creating conflict with the neighbor. Got an email this morning from the engineer on it, and she's wanting to get together and speak about it. So this may be maybe next week or whatever. We're going to have to deal with the neighbor and get some permission worked out. So
Have you got that sketch that I saw the other day with you?
I did not bring
You
it
might
with
get
me.
it to the commissioners after the meeting, and
Okay.
the engineers had drawn a sketch and kind of shown how it was going to look as it is, and I was concerned if we didn't have something from the neighbor to the north, even though it appears to be in prescriptive right of use roadway. I don't want to get in a mess, because if they get into a lawsuit or something, it could restrict access. So
Right.
we'll make sure we got our bases covered on that up front instead of after the fact. So
We're still good on the time frame.
We're
they got a
still good on
cure.
the time
As
frame.
long as we tell them they got a cure, we're not on shot clock, right, Daniel?
I think so. I'd have to look back at that. I think that's correct.
I think as long as we keep telling them, you got to do something else, you got to fix something, you got to cure something. I think
That's right.
the shot
We're
clock
moving
starts
forward
over.
on it. It's not sitting idle, and we're trying to get to an end of it. And there again, this is preliminary plat with the plans, construction plans and all approved. So a little bit different deal anyway when you're dealing with revisions to plans and corrections that need to be made. So
Your Honor, may we talk about this in executive
Sure.
session when we go into it?
Yeah.
Thank you.
thank you, guys.
All right, new business, under A, consent calendar. Commissioners, you have the consent calendar in front of you. Entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right, under B, action items, approval of accounts payable.
I make a motion, we pay the bills.
Second.
Got a motion second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Approval of line item transfers.
Make a motion to approve line item transfers.
Second.
Got a motion second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Approval of budget amendments.
Make a motion to approve budget amendments.
Second.
Got a motion second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Approval of payroll and personnel.
Make a motion of approval of payroll and personnel.
Second.
Got a motion second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Action item number 1, Hunt County earns the Safety Achievement Award from the Texas Association of Counties Risk Pool. Todd?
Morning, Judge, Commissioners. How's everybody doing today?
Great.
Fantastic. My name is Todd Kiesel. I'm your risk management consultant with the Texas Association of Counties. This is Isaac Garcia. Isaac is going to step up in just a moment. I'll turn it over to him. We want to first thank you for having us in court today. Y'all are earning a safety award for 2021 following a safety award in 2020 that Isaac's going to detail, but just wanted to thank you. We provide all of your property. We provide all of your property and casualty coverage, workers' compensation, auto, general liability, public officials liability, law enforcement liability, and your cyber coverage and your property coverage. I want to thank you for the opportunity to handle your coverage for you. And along with that, thanks again for having us here so that you can continue to pay attention to your workplace safety and your commitment to excellence. So let me turn it over to Isaac and have him present some awards to y'all.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Isaac Garcia. I'm a risk control consultant with the Association of Counties. I see some familiar faces here. I've been in here a few times before doing training for y'all with your road and bridge crews, and I visit with Sandy pretty regularly over in HR. Today I'm here to present the Safety Award for 2021. Excuse me. And one of the things that we really push in the Association of Counties, or one of the things that we strive for, is increasing the safety culture in counties. And that's one thing that's very evident that's been done in Hunt County. Your losses continue to show that. Part of what shows that as well is in 2020, you all have received the No Lost Time Award as well. So back in 2020, when we weren't able to come out, you all did get to the point where nobody lost any time, essentially. Great achievement, but just one of the building blocks on what makes a good safety culture. More than that, appreciate it. More than that, we also, in 2021, were able to achieve the Safety Achievement Award for county government. With the Safety Achievement Award, not only are we looking at some of those losses, we start to look at some of the policies that the county has, including a hazard communication policy, a DOT drug and alcohol program, an accident prevention plan, all things that over time tend to prove that we will reduce some of those losses and keep money in the taxpayers' dollars, and in the taxpayers' pockets. And really, that's what we're in it for. We can reduce those injuries, we can keep our employees safe, and we can keep a little bit of money in our taxpayers' pockets. That's really where we want to be. So I'd like to congratulate the county. I'd also like to point out that this is a county-wide award. There are some key players in the county, such as Sandy, such as the commissioners, that have pushed forward with some things that have made this award possible, but this is a county-wide award. If there are people in the county that are not participating, that hinders the county receiving that award. So we would like to really appreciate everybody in the county and say thank you to everybody in the county for the hard work you all have done to get this award. Would somebody like to receive the award on behalf of the county?
Let Sandy do it.
Sandy.
Would you mind taking a picture? Can we get some photos with everybody?
Sure.
Judge,
No, all of us.
all of us?
Get a picture of all of us.
Where do we want to go? Just right here.
We like to make a production of this.
Yep. That, okay. I'm on consent. Okay. Good job. Let me push this over. Thank you very much, Isaac.
Hey, maybe we'll have our picture in the magazine. Finally. County, something, whatever it is. Something to do with that magazine we get.
All right.
Judge, may I say something right there?
Absolutely.
Gentlemen, we would appreciate, and we thank you for the monies that here recently that you have given us, and also for the last several years in reference towards safety. That's money that we, haven't really budgeted, but we're able to get stuff that we really need, and so we thank TAC in reference to that. It's very good that y'all do that.
Yeah, the safety equipment program?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we just rolled that out to y'all April 28th. It involves road and bridge, building and maintenance, and law enforcement. And so y'all got all the information where you can go onto our Bull Chase website and purchase your safety equipment and roll that out to your employees, let them know it's part of the program with Texas Association of Counties Workers' Compensation Program to keep everybody safe.
All right.
Thank you for bringing that up.
Thank you, Philip.
Yes.
All right, anybody else? I entertain a motion of approval, action item 1.
So moved.
Second?
Got a motion second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Action item number 2, the year-end audit report for fiscal year 2021. Rutherford and Taylor. Robert Lake, sir.
All right, well, thank you all for the opportunity to be here today. I'll try to go through it pretty quickly and try to answer any questions that you might have, but try not to go through every page in this report for you.
We appreciate that.
All right.
And I know the public does.
Yeah, as always, the report is basically the same thing. You always get numbers change, of course, but there are a couple of new things in here. But if we'll start on page 6, that's the independent auditor's report, where we render our opinion as to whether or not the financial information presents a fair picture of the county's finances as of and for the year ended September 30th, 2021. It's what we call an unmodified report. It's the best report you can receive. And then we follow that up with 2 additional reports on internal controls and compliance. The first one's kind of overall state requirements and whatnot, the overall internal controls throughout the county. I'm happy to say it's the best report you can receive there. We didn't find any instances of non-compliance, nor did we identify any kind of material weaknesses in the internal control system. And then the third report deals with compliance and internal control with regard to your major federal program that we identified this year as a major program under the Accordance of the Uniform Guidance. And in that particular case, it was the Coronavirus Relief Program. Through the Department of Treasury, it's CFDA number or ACF number. They're changing all the acronyms and everything. So now it's 21.019. And you can see that on page 12. Page 12 kind of has a little summary to the federal aspect and whatnot. But the coronavirus relief, in fact, let's just try to get that out of the way right now. If you want to go back to the very next to the last page of the report, which is the schedule of expenditure of federal awards, you can see there that coronavirus relief program was a little over 2.1, almost $2.2 million this past fiscal year, as of a total of $3.8 million in federal funding that y'all benefited from. So just kind of get that out of the way, get it behind you and whatnot. Now y'all got to, when we get into the report and start looking at the financial statements, I'll point about the other major federal program that'll be on the docket for the next few years. But with that said, we'll get into go back to the front, back to page 18, management's discussion and analysis. As I've mentioned before, management's discussion and analysis, kind of an overview of the financial statements, tries to provide the reader of the financial statements a kind of an understanding of how the financial statements are kind of merged together. There's two sets of financial statements, the government-wide financial statements and then the fund financial statements. And this kind of explains it, but you can see there under financial highlights that the combined net position is a little over $50 million. As of the end of the year, that $50 million includes all of the capital assets of the county, assets, receivables, a variety of things and whatnot. And then you can see the other things that we've mentioned there. If we'll get into, actually, management's discussion analysis, we'll turn over page 20. This is the only place in the report, governments don't have to report comparative information. The only place that you'll see any comparative information is in management's discussion and analysis, and you'll see that on page 20, this is kind of the summary of the statement of net positions. Gives you last year and the current year. You can see there that it's very summarized, so there's not a lot of detail here. It's just kind of some bullet points, so to speak. The current and other assets there for the government-wide. These are the government-wide, so everything is combined and added together. You can see here current and other assets of $64 million versus 42 last year. And then capital assets being the plants, buildings, land, equipment, and whatnot. You can see there, these are the depreciated values, the net book value, so to speak. A little over 20, just under 30 million last year, a little over 30.5 million this year. So total assets, 72 million in 2020 versus 95 in 2021. And then you'll see other things there, those deferred outflows of resources, and way on down the page, you'll see deferred inflows. Those relate to some accounts that deal with the pension and OPEB plans of the county and whatnot. They fluctuate dramatically based on the assumptions that are in those numbers that are generated. If you look at your liabilities there, 27 million last year versus 38 million this year. Y'all issued some debt during the year. You did another rollout of some of the road bond funds that were done during the year, as well as some additional equipment leases for, I don't know what y'all call that, but it's kind of the county-wide road crew that was established during the year. And then we get down to our net position there at the bottom. You can see, if lack of a better term, if you took all your assets and converted them to cash, use that cash to pay off all your liabilities, this is what you'd have left over. And so the net position there, the investment in capital assets at a little under $25 million. The restricted, those funds that you have on hand that are basically dedicated to particular purposes, whether it's the state has set them up or some outside influence is causing that restriction to be there at a little over $7 million, and then the unrestricted balance a little at $18 million. And if we go to the next page, you'll see the statement, the same summarized statement. These are the government-wide numbers again, the summary of activities. Here you'll see your revenues, your expenses, and then your changes in net position for the year. You'll see program revenues as charges for services, operating grants, capital grants, and then general revenues, your property taxes, sales tax, etc. So if you go through those categories, you'll see that last year we had a little over 50 million, or in 2020 we'll have a little over $50 million in total revenues. In 2021, a little over $55 million. So if we look at our expenses there, you can see them broken down into the types of services that are provided for the county and its constituents or resources, whatnot, general government, judicial, public safety, etc. You can see last year, the year before last, I guess you'd say at this point, it's 46 million. This past year, a little over 49, just a hair under $50 million in expenses. So when we look at our change in net position there, year before last, 3.7 million, this year's $5.5 million increase. Add that to our beginning of the year net position, so our ending net position comes back to that same $50 million that we talked about on the prior schedule. Then if you go to the next page, you can kind of see it broken down into a pie chart, how much of Where do we get our money? Property tax is a little over 64% of the total revenues for the county. Sales taxes is up to 17%. And then as we go around the chart there, you'll see the other categories. And then when we look at the expenses at the bottom, where do we spend most of our money? You can see there that judicial and infrastructure are about 22% each. General government's 20%. And then you look at the public safety, which is basically the sheriff's department and whatnot, and then the corrections being the jail. Combination of those two is about 30%. Okay. From there, there's a lot of information. I'll let y'all read that at your heart's content. We'll give it into the financial statements themselves. You start off with Exhibit A1 on page 28, and to follow that up with Exhibit A2 on page 29. That's exactly what we just talked about in Table A1 and Table A2 in the MD&A. Here you just see a little bit more detail. You'll see what your property taxes receivables are, your sales tax receivable, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So not really going to spend a lot of time there other than just to point out that you can see your capital assets broken down. You can see your liabilities broken down into the various categories. I will talk a little bit, or just point out anyway, the net pension liability at $6.5 million there, the OPEB liability at $12.5 million there. They're the last two line items there under liabilities, and as we continue, the county continues to grow, you will continue to see those numbers increase over time. And so just keep that in the back of your mind.
That liability is calculated on 100% of our people retiring and drawing a pension, correct?
Yeah, most of it.
That's why that number's up that high.
And, if we add 10 employees this year or whatever, then that number will just continue to kind of drift on up.
But so the public knows we don't have that much liability, because our pension is funded to about 90%, I think, 80-something, 85 to 90%. And that's based on 100% of everybody that ever works here retiring, which won't ever happen.
That's correct.
Yeah,
That's
so-
correct. Okay. Then Exhibit A2 on the next page is basically the same thing we talked about in Table A2. You can kind of just see it broken down. It's a little bit different format or a little bit different presentation, but you can still see the same total expenditures at 49, just shy of $50 million, and then get down to the bottom line there, $5.5 million increase. Now, if we turn to page 30, this is where the fund financial statements start. The fund financial statements are basically the way you see your monthly information. You'll see these are what's called the modified accrual base of accounting, because there are receivables and payables, but it has a better shop of flowing how cash flows through the system. But you can see here it's broken down into the general fund and any other major fund. Major funds are defined basically as the general fund is always a major fund, but if you look at all the other funds that you have to maintain, and you've got somewhere around 130 funds that y'all have to maintain between all of the ones that are in your general ledger and then all the ones that are throughout the county that are not actually go through the county's actual computer software system, but are accounted for other offices and whatnot. But you can see here that the general fund, the American Rescue Plan, which is the latest funding, is considered a major fund, basically because when you look at components, that being the assets, the liabilities, the revenues, or the expenditures, if they're 10% of a particular type and 5% overall, then those qualify them or they become major funds. The general fund, of course, is always a major fund, but the American Rescue Plan, the liabilities or the assets of that are more than 5% of the governmental fund type. It's a lot of hoodoo you go through, but that's why it's being presented as a major fund. where we spent over $2 million in the coronavirus relief fund, they're not considered a major fund because of the breakdown and whatnot. So going forward, we will probably continue to see that for the next couple of years as a major fund. And then the other governmental funds is everything else. The debt service fund, the capital projects funds, all of those things don't rise to the level of a major fund, but they are there. They are significant, of course. But you can see there, the general fund has some $39 million in cash, and then all the other governmental funds, a little less than $20 million. So that's how we get to that $59 million in cash that we saw previously. Go through there, you can see the property taxes receivable, the sales tax receivable and whatnot. Then we get on down into the liabilities. The biggest liability, of course, is wages payable, because we don't pay everybody at the end of the end of the month, at the end of the fiscal year. So we've got always got this number out there that we owe, and so that's probably one of the largest liabilities that you'll always have. Accounts payable is always huge because we spend money up until the last day of the fiscal year, and we don't pay for it basically until the next year. And so that's what that number relates to. And then you'll see that unearned revenue there under the American Rescue Plan. Those funds are basically what are called expenditure driven. We've got to spend the money in order to recognize it as revenue. And so in the interim, it'll sit there as unearned revenue until which time we basically pay that money out, which will recognize the revenue at that point. So that's what that relates to. Then we go on down and we get down to the bottom line, the equity. You've got non-spendable. That's things like prepaid expenses. We've already paid the money, so we don't have it available to spend going into the future. You've got restricted, committed, assigned, and unassigned. But you can see there the general fund's total fund equity, a little over $26 million, and then all the other funds under the other governmental, $21.5 million, so a grand total about $48 million in total fund equity or fund balance. Okay, Exhibit A5, my partner would always like to call this the meat and potatoes, because here's all your revenue sources, all of your expenditures, and then your resulting some other financing sources and uses, and then your resulting net change in fund equity. You can see there the general fund generated $27 million in property taxes and a little shy of $41 million overall in revenue. American Rescue Plan, $1 million in revenues. Another non-governmental got another, what is that, $8.4 million in property taxes and $13 million across all categories. So a grand total of $55 million in revenue. Our expenditures, we've got those same generic categories that we see there, $33 million in the general fund, $1 million under the American Rescue Plan, and almost $16.5 million across the other non-major or non-major governmental funds. Grand total of $50 million in total expenditures. And then we have, you'll see the debt proceeds. There's the loans, the leases that we incurred for the equipment for the road crew, and then the $6 million of additional bonds for the road bonds. And then we transferred some money between funds. We've got different funds that help support the general fund, and we pay all those things out of the general fund, and vice versa. The general fund supports some of the other categories, say like the juvenile probation and whatnot, and then so those are what the transfers in and out are. And then we sold some capital assets during the year and whatnot, and the proceeds that we received on those are reflected there. So we get down to our net change in fund balance. The general fund, about $8 million. The other governmental funds, $3.3 million, so a grand total of about $11.5 million positive increase for the year. And we turn over to page 34, A7. These are custodial funds. This is one of the changes in the year, the accounting changes. You had to implement GASB 84, which dealt with fiduciary activities. In the past, these have always been agency funds. They're now titled custodial funds. They really didn't change anything, but sometimes I think publishers need to have changes in words so everybody has to buy more stuff. But beyond that, you can see there that's $4.8 million. The difference that you'll see here is that in the past, these were always considered liabilities. Now they're considered held in trust, almost an equity account. And so, and what these funds relate to are all of the various offices that have bank accounts. Those funds are really not the office's funds. They go to somebody else. They either come to the county, they go to the state. In case of the highway fund over in the tax assessor collector, the majority of that money at some point ends up going to the state. You've got court costs and some of the things that go to the state and whatnot. But if we'll go to the next page, Exhibit A8, this is the first time we've seen this presentation. This schedule has not been in previous reports because they were all liabilities. Now we consider any collections as being additions and any payments out as deductions. And so what you'll see here, fines and fees, that's how much money was collected throughout the offices that eventually end up in your financial statements, because a lot of it's due to the county, but a lot of it's due to the state. And so the big number there, property tax collections, the tax collector collected over $168 million this past fiscal year, and basically paid all that out to the various entities around the county as well as the county. And then there's other miscellaneous receipts that just, they probably could go in with fines and fees, but the fines and fees is more like actual court costs and whatnot. Like the highway fees and things like that. You can see that while they don't exactly match up, they're fairly close. So you can see there that the miscellaneous receipts at $21 million, but you see the payments to the state at $25 million. So there's a combination of state money that's in that miscellaneous as well as in the fees and fines. But then you'll see a prior period adjustment there, that $3.4 million. That's basically what was held at the end of last year that wasn't accounted for on this schedule. It was accounted for as a liability. We had to make a reclassification so that we can now track what's held in trust. Okay, then from there we get into the notes, the financial statements, which just provide the reader with a lot of information. Generally, I like to speak about page 45, which is the long-term obligation note. Most people like to know how much do we owe, and you can see there we started the year off a little under $9 million. We actually issued a little over $7 million in debt. We paid off $1.5 million, so we ended up the year at about $14.5 million in debt. Those issues are broken down between the lease, the bonds. When you sell bonds, you have premiums associated with it, so those come on as liabilities as well. And then compensated absences. As people work, they earn the right to have time off, and so that number increases and decreases as things are taken, as vacation is taken and whatnot. And so we come up with that number as well. Still got payments that you're making to the comptroller, and so I think we actually added it last year. You've actually got 3 that are going on right now. Might be another one, I don't know, that I'm not aware of.
Court, all know what that's about?
Yes.
Everybody knows about that?
Yeah.
Okay.
So those are reflected there as well as debts, liabilities that you owe. Then from there, we get into the pension note and the OPEB note, and unless y'all really want me to go through it, I'm just going to skip all that and head on back to the back of the report. Another new note that we've put in here on page 56 has a little impact. Probably this is something that is required, and this has to do with your, we've titled it Economic Development Agreements. Basically, it's agreements with developers that y'all have awarded for tax abatements and whatnot. You can see here that just kind of lists those things and kind of gives you some idea. The first one deals with the tax increment zone that was approved several years ago. Some tax funding where I believe the way to describe that is that the county's still getting the taxes that they were supposed to get, but any incremental that has come in that area of development has been basically sent to I guess you'd call it a board that's managing those funds to basically designed or help with infrastructure.
I think that's the TIF board. Is it TIF
right,
board?
Right.
Yeah.
And so it's been in place several years, and y'all's participation is just identified here. It's just information. And then the tax abatements, the ones that I got most of this information from Bruce through the appraisal district and whatnot. And so these are the ones that are in place. Some of them haven't even been started to my knowledge, but they're listed here for y'all's benefit. Some of them deal with business, personal property, some of them deal with real property and whatnot. So it's basically just information.
Can you add another column that says what we actually collected too on all those? Or is that a form from the
It's not
state?
required in the note, but I'm sure I could probably add that if you want to.
Well, I mean, if the public looks at this and they see that we lost that much in revenue, but we also collected taxes too.
Oh, yeah.
Because of that action.
yeah.
I mean, if we gave up 221,000, we also collected about 221,000,
Oh, yeah.
new tax dollars.
Yeah.
And
Okay. Okay.
that's what I want the public to know. We're not just giving that money away.
Oh, no.
We
Oh,
got
no.
that much more in new revenue that we wouldn't have had if we didn't do this.
That's right. If they hadn't come, you wouldn't have had it.
We
That's
wouldn't have had it.
exactly
So
right.
we got,
The thing about it is, most of it was under ag exemption anyway.
and we got that increase.
And you
So
got
we-
that increase as well.
Yeah, we got several increases in tax revenue by giving up a little bit.
And if some of these materialize, there'll be a heck of a lot more, because
Yep.
a bunch of them are just, I know those solar farms, when you start putting that stuff down, there's some high dollar money in that.
Yep.
Okay. Then from there, just a couple more schedules, the budget comparison on page 59. You can see here what we budgeted, how we performed. We basically collected 1.8 million more than we had anticipated as far as revenues. We spent 6.5 million less than we had anticipated. So the bottom line there, we had anticipated our fund balance to go down about $700,000, but it actually increased about $9. Now, y'all are much aware of it, but y'all have the state in its infinite wisdom doesn't give a lot of flexibility in establishing budgets and doing things with regard to moving money around and whatnot. And so a lot of times, as with any governmental entity, excess money or things that we may not know exactly what we're going to spend. It's kind of like a contingency account. We might put in a contingency account in there to allow us some flexibility to spend some funds and whatnot. So, but overall, I think you did a great job as far as.
But part of that,
concerned.
part of that being so large is COVID.
Right.
The last 2 or
Oh,
3
yeah.
years, the budgets we've had, we've not been able to meet them, get everything done we planned to get done because of COVID. We couldn't
is-
accomplish the things
that
we
is
were planning on accomplishing because we were either shut down or
Exactly.
lack of staff or whatever couldn't get contractor, whatever it was. It's just,
That's it.
COVID's hurt everybody a lot
That's true. That is very true.
and got us behind on a lot of projects, so. That money
So
will
what
be
you're-
spent, it's just.
What you're expecting is the next budget, watch out.
Yeah.
What you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's basically it. Has anybody got a question? Be happy to answer anything I can. It's a lot of information, a lot of numbers, and a lot of them go up and down, and,
You might give them commissioners your cell number so they can call you.
okay. I'll give it to Bruce, and he can pass that on
No, I'm
to you,
kidding. I'm
It's
kidding.
okay. I don't mind. I'd be happy to talk about anything.
Any questions, commissioners? Bruce, you got any comments?
I just want to thank Robert for his professionalism and help, and it's a big operation we have here, and he and his staff did an excellent job in dealing with what you have to deal with the COVID issues and all that too along the way.
And we appreciate it getting done this year.
Well, I got to-
in May.
I think this is the earliest I've delivered this in a while.
Well, I hope this is the norm.
So,
It sure makes budgeted easier
Well-
when we get this early.
I need to also recognize my staff.
Yeah, I was gonna mention
because,
that.
I left them out, and Stacy in particular, and I could name all of them, but they all, when Robert comes in, we do what we can to help the process go as well as it goes.
we appreciate
And we
their
appreciate your staff, too.
Yeah, we appreciate their efforts, and as well as all of the offices throughout the county. I mean, we've probably been in, I'm not going to say we've been in ones that y'all haven't been in, but we've been around to see quite a few people. And so we appreciate their efforts in getting the numbers. They're all very professional. And we don't see people saying, I don't have time for you today, come back in 3 weeks. And that's not always the case sometimes when we go in places. So we appreciate their efforts as well.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you, Robert.
Well, as always, feel free to give us a call. Be more than happy to come back and explain anything further.
Thank you. All right, Commissioners, I entertain a motion for approval of action item number 2.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, sir. Action item number 3, the Treasury's monthly report for March 2022. Did I see Brittany snuck in? I thought I saw her sneak in.
Did sneak in. Okay, the report that you have in your packets is for month end March 31, 2022. We have a month-end balance of $73,154,755.03 of cash and invested funds. The treasurer's books and the auditor's general ledger agree. Bruce has seen all the statements and agreed. Anybody have any questions? Okay, good deal.
Thank you. I might tell the court and the public, I did get my email I told y'all about that we was looking for from the treasurer. I did receive that last week, and I did go to the treasurer's website, and I do have the information they need to send us the next money from the ARPA money. So we should be receiving that, I don't know, next week or two anyway, so. Anyway, so that should give us totally funded with what the federal government has promised to send us. Any questions? Entertain a motion for approval.
So moved. Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Action item number 4, request for $500 donation to the Children's Advocacy Center out of the county attorney's misdemeanor bond forfeiture account 10-62-1300-3194. Calvin is not here. This is out of one of his special funds that he can spend it on, has the authority to spend this money to give it to the charity and the child advocacy. He does a lot with child abuse in his attorney's office, and the child advocacy group helps him a lot. So he's been giving them money when he gets some of this fund money in. So entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Action item 5, the completion and submission of the LESO Law Enforcement Support Office application. Entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Number 6, the request to reduce the speed limit from 35 miles per hour to 30 miles per hour on County Road Mamie at the residents' request in Precinct 3. Commissioner Martin, you want to brief us?
Yes, sir. I tell you what, we call it Mamie Way or Mamie Addition. Has a lot of curves in it. Has a lot of left turns, then go down, mind there comes the point, and come back, go straight, and does it again. We need to slow down. We have a lot of children in that area. Basically, it's very residential. I do make a motion that we reduce the speed from 30 to 35, in which we will post.
From 35 to 30?
35? The
That,
30,
I might add that Mamie Road Group has a homeowners association group that's very active. They meet once or twice a year. Commissioner Martin and I usually attend it. They brought this up, I believe, at the last meeting back a few months ago, saying they wanted this done, and I think Commissioner Martin requested that they get a petition to do that, which they've done, so I'll entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion, second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Action item number 7, the formal bid number 224-22, all hauling 12-month contract effective May 13, 2022 through May 12, 2023. Entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion, second, any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Action item number 8, the upgrade of approximately 6,089.6 feet of County Road 1133 from rock to oil sand in Precinct 1 at county's expense, capital improvement.
Make a motion, we approve this upgrade, Judge.
Second.
Got a motion, second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Action item number 9, the upgrade of approximately 700 feet of County Road 1135 from rock to oil sand in Precinct 1 at county's expense, capital improvement.
Judge, I make a motion, we approve this upgrade.
Second.
Got a motion, second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Action item number 10, the request to construct electrical power distribution facilities across County Road 2516 in Precinct 2.
Make a motion, we approve the electrical power distribution under County Road 2516 under usual stipulations.
Second.
Got a motion, second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Action item number 11, the request to construct electrical power distribution facilities across County Road 3529 in Precinct 3.
I make a motion, we allow this construction with the normal stipulations.
Second.
Got a motion, second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Action item number 12, a public hearing from the final plat of Resendez Edition, a replat of lots 1 and 2 of Sandy Lane Acres in Precinct 3. Brian, you want to brief us before I open it up for the public hearing?
This is a replat that was proposed late last year. It actually ran through court on December 28th and had a public hearing with it. The neighbors came out and there were some questions raised about potential drainage issues. Court said to, let's put it off, let's look at the drainage, have an engineer study it. Engineer has looked at it, has found that there's, by adding this third lot from the original 2, it's not going to affect the drainage. There's not really much of a drainage issue that on the property. It's just old flat virgin land that's been baled and hadn't been touched ever. So with the engineer's study, we went back through the public notice, and that's where we're at now.
Okay. Thank you, Brian. This time I'll open it up for any public comments. Anybody wish to speak for or against this final plat? Come forward and state your name and address, please, sir.
My name's Larry Cummings. I'm 6560 Byram Road.
Okay.
This property they're referring to, I've got a problem with the septic systems coming up that they're going to be installing. A drip system will surface. An aerobic system requires 1,500 square feet to install. I don't believe there's enough area there to put 3 septic systems in for these homes. I don't think the land is going to carry that kind of absorption, because they're already out there getting stuck in this land.
Right.
This is a sponge. Now, I come down that road later on, they put all these houses in, and I start smelling sewer. I will be very upset. I just don't think this land is equipped to carry the extra septic systems. because I think that it's 1,500 square feet, or 15,000 square feet that is required at this time for an system. And they haven't got that. They've got like 1,400. So they're pushing their luck trying to get a aerobic system in there. That's something I don't think anybody's required here, or is looked into.
Okay,
I appreciate it.
thank you. Anyone else wish to speak for or against it? If not, I'll close the public hearing.
Your Honor, in reference to this, may we go into executive session and then come out and vote in reference to this? We need attorney advice on this, I believe so. Am I correct? Brian?
I'm not sure we do. I think I've already got the question asked and answered, Philip. What's referring to is that the plat is calling for 1.35 acres, I believe. Is that right? 1.3 something?
Right, 1.31 acres for each lot
And
on this one.
you know, we're still in that same situation where the county passed ordinance and changed the rules to allow septics on 1 acre tracts anywhere in the county back in 2015 or 16, I believe it was, and then by clerical error, it never got filed with TCEQ. We caught it recently when we were going through our subdivision rules looking for something else, and so we've applied with TCEQ. We're supposed to have that back and approved within, we're supposed to be already done, but they're delayed because of COVID. They're all working from home, and they're not answering their phones and all the stuff that we deal with the state, but we're okay to approve it conditioned on our rules being approved by TCEQ for 1 acre lots and move forward, if that's the court's pleasure. And that's
correct. Was that your question?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's correct.
Understand this, and I also would like to bring this out. This was too, and this is a replat of those lots. In actuality, we have allowed this as in the past, waiting, for this. In actuality, to my knowledge, there's nothing as far as not being able to, but this is actually a good plat that meets our specification. Am I correct?
Yes, in all other respects.
Except for the acreage because of the clerical error on the size of the lots for septic systems.
That's right. State minimum for septic system is a ½ acre.
Yes, sir.
At some point, the county went more stringent than that, and used to require 2 acres, and then in the 90s or early 2000s, they reduced it to 1.5 acres. Then in 16, the court changed it to 1 acre, and that's when we ran into an issue where the order doesn't get changed with the state to drop it to 1 acre. So we are actually more stringent than the state requirements for septic requirements.
Right, and SRA, they're still at a ½ acre around the lake, I think, aren't they? Or have they gone to 1 acre?
SRA honors our rules now. If it was a lot created prior to 1987, then they'll allow a ½ acre.
Yeah.
But if it was created after 87 or 89, SRA won't approve a ½ acre either.
All right. Philip, you okay now? Or?
I'm okay. Basically, I make a motion that we do accept this under my understanding what we can do. Because we already
Conditioned on, we won't sign and file it until such time as we get the TCEQ final authorization of the 1 acre.
I agree with that.
Is that okay, Daniel?
Yes.
We good? Okay.
Thank you, Judge.
All right.
That is a motion with those quotes in reference to holding off until then.
Second.
Got a motion second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Action item 13, the final plat of Resendez Edition, a replat of lots 1 and 2 of Shady Lane in Precinct 3. I guess that's what we just voted on before, so we don't need to re-vote on it, do we? Since we voted on it under the public hearing. Daniel?
That's correct.
All right,
You
so,
don't need a vote again.
okay. Number 14, the final plat of Martinez 903 Edition, Precinct 1.
This is another one of those good ones like we get every once in a while. It's on an FM road, has plenty of frontage, plenty of acreage. Hey, Merry Christmas, here's an easy plat.
Entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second.
And a motion second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.
Thank you, guys.
Anybody comments on the line? No comments online? Anything else before the court now? If not, I'll entertain a motion to go in executive session under items number 1 through 4, or Daniel, Ray?
Yes, one through 4.
Yeah, through 1 through 4.
So moved.
Second.
All right, got a motion second, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries. We'll go into executive session at 10:55. Sending camera, let's see if we come back up.
Looks like we're back up.
All right, it's 12:03 and we're back in regular session. At this time, I will make a motion that we approve the interlocal cooperative purchase agreement between Van Zandt County and Hunt County, Texas.
Second.
Got a motion second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. And then I make a motion that we approve a contract hiring Trot as a consultant for our radio communication services with contingency of working out a scope of services with them that's acceptable to the Hunt County judge.
Through Van Zandt County.
No, exactly what he said needs to be done.
Okay,
Is that your motion, Judge?
That's my motion.
Second.
there you go.
Got a motion second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. And then I'll make a motion that we do a resolution. Do we need a resolution on the grant?
Yeah.
That we approve a resolution to apply for a grant with the Texas Historical Commission for improvements to the Hunt County Courthouse.
Second.
Got a motion second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Mark, you want to make the other motion, or you want me to make it?
I'm good with you making it, Judge.
All right, I'll make a motion that we place on the November ballot the freeze for over 65 and disabled under subsection 8 of the tax code.
It's H. Let me give you the
H?
whole thing. Yes. Article 8, subsection
Oh, Article 8, okay, under subsection,
1-BH.
what he said.
Yeah.
And place it on November ballot, but it is over 65 and the disabled.
Second.
Did we get all that in there right?
65 and over.
Yeah, 65 and over and the disabled. We got all the sections right?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll give it back to you.
Make sure we got it all right, okay. All right, we got a motion second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Is there anything else before the court today? Being nothing, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, we're adjourned at 12:05.